Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark, Sarah, and Pam. We're covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
And today's show is brought to you by United Piping, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI, the best plumbers around. Also brought to you by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to beer, wine, and spirits, don't botch it, squatch it. At 5 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
We have the pleasure of being joined in studio today by the CEO and owner of Pallo Entertainment, David Palazzolo. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing great.
You got up like 15 minutes ago, right, to join us today?
Yeah, it's all 5,000 subscribers. My
5,000.
personal.
That was week 1.
Yeah,
I know.
We're down to 2,000 now.
Yeah. People have been paying attention.
should have done my research.
Yeah.
I was not prepared.
So you are so excited to be here.
Yes, I am actually. I have listened to your podcast quite often. Actually, it's definitely in my rotation, and I love what you guys do and all the guests that you have on. I will say a funny story. The first podcast I ever listened to, actually, though, was, I think it's one of your Friday podcasts where you talk about the events that are going on in the community,
That
right?
is correct.
And I just remember being like, are they just going to read off like the event page for the entire podcast? So and then I was like, this is kind of odd, but then obviously I figured out that was the whole point of it. So then,
Yeah, it's called a weekend preview.
yeah.
Yeah, so we talk about events that are happening
Yeah.
in the future.
I got it. So
Oh, okay.
The
So
fact that there was no guest listed didn't
Yes.
throw you
I-
a bone on how it was going to go down.
well, it's like one of those things. Like, how you listen to podcasts are just like in a rotation, and that was the one that
yeah,
kicked on. So
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, okay, well, here we go.
We break format on Fridays.
We go off the rails.
We'll probably talk to David again, but before we do that,
Maybe.
let's take a look at some headlines for Monday, May 12th.
St. Mary's Health System opened its new day hospital program offering intensive outpatient mental health treatment for adults in need of short-term structured support. The program is especially well suited for adults transitioning from inpatient psychiatric care or those who need more support than traditional outpatient services provide.
The Maine Resiliency Center received over $8 million from the federal government. The grant will aid the center's work in supporting those affected by the October 25th tragedy. Senator Susan Collins advocated for the funding and said the center remains a critical part of the recovery process.
The Lewiston Youth Advisory Council announced the inaugural Heart of Lewiston Festival. The event will take place on June 14th in Simard Payne Memorial Park. The day of family fun will include obstacle courses, bouncy slides, food trucks, community resources, and more. Updates will be posted on the city's Facebook page.
Age limit on that bouncy house? Bouncy slide?
No, you're good, Pam.
49.
Right, just made it.
Sneaking in.
The Lewiston Auburn Kiwanis Club announced its $100,000 hole-in-one contest.
What?
It's going to take place on June 22nd at Tabor's in Auburn. Qualifying dates are June 14th, 15th, 18th, and 19th. The 10 closest to the pin will compete for the grand prize. Proceeds will benefit the Kiwanis Club, which has been serving their communities since 1922.
I've never gotten a hole-in-one,
Well, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah.
but I did do this last year. I tried to qualify on one of those dates, and I actually was 30 feet from the hole.
Not bad.
I don't even know if there was an actual hole. I think they just have like a target way out
Yeah.
there. But yeah,
You going to try again this year?
sure, why not?
Come on.
Yeah.
For a good cause.
Shall we talk about the weather?
Let's talk about the weather. Weather. I'm over the song.
I was waiting.
You guys over it? It upsets Sarah, and I don't want to start her day that way.
Sun and clouds today with a high of 71 and a low of 38. Cloudy tomorrow with a high of 67 and a low of 46. Partly sunny on Wednesday with highs in the 70s.
In sports, the Maine Nordique season ended on Saturday with a 3-2 overtime loss to Rochester. I know. The team's incredible season energized the community and set attendance records. Players and staff recognized the fans' outpouring of support on the ice and through social media.
It was fun to watch. Anyway.
Saturday was. Friday was rough.
Sarah, what happened on Friday? You didn't care for that game.
I've never seen a hockey game like that where legitimately, I think we played the entire third period with 3 men on the ice besides the goalie. Like, they just had penalty after penalty after penalty, and it wasn't evenly distributed from one team to the other.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's rough.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. The boys were getting frustrated, and you could see it in the way they played.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't the team that I know to be out there. Like,
That's
they just
frustrating.
had a really hard time. They did a really good job, though. They did their best.
They started out strong on Saturday.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they had
2 goals in the first period.
Nice.
Yep.
They really needed to refocus after Friday's game. I'm sure that was tough for them to take.
The great season.
Yes.
They are going to be, I think half of their team is aging out.
Yeah,
so
we're
a
going to
lot
miss
of
a bunch of those guys.
a lot of new faces next year. Dave, you a Nords fan?
I've been to a few games, but I wouldn't necessarily describe myself as a fan.
Okay.
Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big hockey fan, so I just I need to get to more games.
You're a big hockey fan as long as it's not local.
Yeah, I'm an implant to Maine, actually, right? Or what do they call that? I'm from away. So,
Yeah, where are you from?
Detroit.
Oh, we don't play any teams from Detroit, so.
So
Lucas Giolito gave up only 2 hits over 6 2/3 innings as the Red Sox beat the Kansas City Royals 3-1. The Sox will visit the Detroit Tigers tonight at 6:40.
Speaking of Detroit?
They're kind of the best team in baseball right now.
yes, they are.
All right.
Don't worry, we'll screw that up. That's what we do in Detroit.
The Celtics trail the New York Knickerbockers 2-1 in their best-of-7 playoff series. Game 4 is tonight at 7:30 in New York.
Central Maine Community College baseball will face Central Pennsylvania today at 1 p.m. in round 1 of the USC AA National Tournament in Du Bois, Pennsylvania.
And the Maine Mayhem women's football team beat the Buffalo Blizzard 28-0. That's a solid trouncing. The Mayhem will host the Harrisburg Havoc on Saturday at Lewiston High School. I love the names. The Maine Mayhem, the Buffalo Blizzard, the Harrisburg Havoc. I love it.
They do a great job marketing.
They did a good job.
Yeah. And the rumor has it there may be a Maine Mayhem feature in the summer issue of LA Metro Magazine.
what?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I know a guy who got some real good photos. This
Breaking
weekend,
news.
so-
That is your news, weather, and sports. And right now, it's time for the podcast segment that is sweeping the Twin Cities. It's time for famous people birthdays.
They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Is that the song you're talking about, Dave?
No, it had something to do with like rain or something.
Oh, the weather song.
Rain or shine, it's all okay. Grab
Yeah,
your
that-
uke and start.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Clouds may come
Yeah.
or skies turn growing on me. Weather's fun with me and you.
And the picture's
sun
a
is bright
dinosaur.
and storms may brew. Every day's a brand new view. You don't need perfect skies above.
I recovering
Hey, just
yet,
a song and
Mark?
a little.
It's funny, you don't realize how long this song is
I-
until you can't wait for it to
I
end.
told ya. It's so long.
Good drop.
It's growing on you, though?
It's growing on me.
All right.
I still struggle with the end when I can't find the right chord.
All right.
But, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. If it brings you joy, then it makes me happy.
Well, it used to, but then it upset you.
Oh.
I'm like, well, I can't start my day that way.
I'm not upset. I know I could do better.
Yeah.
That's how I am. I just always
Sure.
feel like I can do better.
Let's take a look at FPBs for May the 12th, shall we?
Okay.
All right. We're going to start off with Kim Fields, who
Tootie!
is 56 years old today. How is Tootie 56?
Judy.
You know, where's Tootie from The Facts of Life
And different strokes.
and Different Strokes. That's right. Yeah, she did it all.
She had so many braces. So much
many.
braces.
She had double the recommended
It was like
amount of braces.
twice the braces, yeah. So I don't know if it was just her mouth was small or what, but it just looked like she had so much braces.
Emilio Estevez is 63 years old today.
Oh.
Everybody knows Emilio, right?
Sure.
Pam, you know Emilio.
Of course.
What's your favorite Emilio movie?
Oh, The Breakfast Club.
Oh.
The Outsiders.
The Outsiders.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? Dave, do you have a favorite Emilio movie?
Oh, yeah, it was The Mighty Ducks for sure.
Yeah. Any Pulp Fiction fans? In the house,
Yeah.
Ving Rhames is 66 years old
I
today.
don't know who he was.
He played Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction. He was the big bad mofo. Billy Squire.
Oh, you
Is
love Billy Squire.
75 years old today. Back in the days of morning radio, Sarah and I did a deep dive on Billy Squire and his video for Rock Me Tonight. Are you familiar with that one, Dave?
I am not.
It ruined his career.
Oh.
Like, I'm not exaggerating. That video ruined his career.
This is probably why I don't know him.
Well, he did some good stuff before then.
What happened?
But yeah, the video was horrific. I would recommend that you watch it.
It's so
sometime
bad.
today.
I feel like I cried a little bit. I was like sitting there just like, oh
so
no.
bad that it made you
It
uncomfortable.
was so bad.
This is the guy that came out with Lonely as the Night and The Stroke and Everybody Wants You and In the Dark. Great 80s rock songs.
Yeah.
And then he did this video for Rock Me Tonight. And if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, but just watch it.
Music video then.
Yeah,
you're
music
reading.
video.
Yeah.
And then you'll watch it and you go, okay, I get it. Yeah, he deserved to have his career
Yep.
destroyed for,
no.
for that abomination. And rounding out FPBs for May the 12th is Steve Winwood. Absolute legend, 77 years old today. Member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was inducted in 2004 as a member of Traffic. He's won a couple of Grammys. And Rolling Stone ranked Steve Winwood as the 33rd greatest singer of all time on its list of 100.
Nice.
And I do have in front of me the list. So if anybody wants to know where anybody finished or who's number one,
Oh yeah,
Singers?
yeah. Who's number one? Are we gonna
let's
guess
guess.
it?
Let's
okay.
guess.
Do we get
All
hints?
time?
I will give you. Does anybody want to throw out a guess or do you want a hint?
Whitney Houston.
No.
Ooh, good
all
guess
time.
though.
Andrea Bocelli.
Very good guess.
Andre Balotelli. Yeah, good guess too.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, I haven't had my guess yet.
Do you want a hint?
No.
Okay.
Singers of all time.
Singers. 100 greatest singers of all time, and Steve Winwood is 33rd.
So wait, when was this list published though?
This list was published in, let's see, 2010.
Oh yeah, okay. So
15.
I'm going to go with Elvis Presley.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Female,
and it's not Whitney.
Barbara Streisand.
not Whitney.
Tina?
African American female,
Tina?
not Tina.
What?
Oh,
Mariah Carey?
no.
Female and African.
Afri-
African American.
Oh, my goodness.
Pam knows it. I can tell you.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Aretha Franklin.
Oh, Aretha. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it
Aretha
means to
Franklin.
me.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
We'll run down the top five here. Ray Charles was number 2. Elvis Presley, number 3.
I was close.
Sam Cooke, number 4.
Oh, really?
And John Lennon, number 5.
Oh, yeah.
God, my first few picks didn't even make the top 5.
Yeah.
I had to think on it for a long time.
Where did Whitney fall?
Whitney, where did she fall? Let's see.
She's got to be in the top 20.
Not in the top 20.
Below
No kidding.
Tina.
Michael Jackson, 25.
I think he was
I-
more musically talented than like vocally.
I would put him as like top 5 best performers of all
Right.
time. You know, he was absolutely phenomenal at performing.
Whitney Houston, behind Steve Winwood at 34. Those are your FPBs for May the 12th. Now let's take a look at some OTDs, shall we? On this day, 33 years ago in 1992, Brady Bunch dad Robert Reed died of intestinal cancer and complications from AIDS. He was 59 years old. He was America's dad before Bill Cosby.
Yeah, he was.
Right? He was. Let's just...
He didn't do much, though.
Well, he was in his den working
Yeah.
while Marsha was getting hit in the face with a football.
Here's the story.
47 years ago on this day in 1978, under pressure from feminists, the Commerce Department said hurricanes would no longer be named exclusively after women.
Do you want to hear something so funny?
I do.
There are, I mean, it's funny, but it's also not. There are more fatalities from hurricanes named after women because people take them less seriously.
Stop it.
Isn't that the stupidest thing you ever heard?
Stop it. That's
Is that one of your jokes?
Nope. That is a fact. People underestimate the severity of hurricanes named after women.
Can't fix stupid.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, Katrina was like the biggest one.
Irene,
yeah.
Katrina, yep. And so before 1978, they didn't
take any of them seriously.
take any of them seriously. They were all named after women.
Wow.
How crazy is that?
That's a fun fact.
That's so dumb.
Did you ever notice that fun facts are rarely either? And this one's pretty weird. Over 200 years ago, according to legend, a Shawnee Indian chief cursed the Great White Father for violating Indian treaties that supposedly started a strange cycle of deaths at the White House. Every president elected or re-elected at 20-year cycles died in office from 1840 to 1960.
That is a weird fact.
Crazy, right?
Yep.
Very weird.
Who broke the cycle?
Ronald Reagan. And some say that his wife Nancy broke the cycle by consulting with astrologers.
There were assassination attempts on Ronald Reagan. Isn't that how some new gun laws were created because of that? Interesting.
I think we got to get Mike the Tarot guy back in here.
I think so.
Know what the deal was there. Those are your FPBs and OTDs for May the 12th.
Whether you want a sit-down meal or a grab-and-go, Pat's Pizza in Auburn offers delicious sandwiches, pasta, salads, and pizza at family-friendly prices. Pat's Pizza, serving the L.A. area since 1985. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 85 Center Street in Auburn. Online at patsauburn.com.
Now we shift focus fully to our guest in studio, David Palazzolo, CEO and owner of Pallo Entertainment. David, what exactly is Pallo Entertainment?
Well, we are a elite DJ company located in Lewiston, Maine. We serve the greater New England area, but technically we do operate in 45 different states as well as international. Due to my one small, tiny, microscopical 30-second gig that I did in Punta Cana. But you know what? I'm going to count it, right? Because marketing matters. So I am international. Me and Pitbull.
Well, congratulations on that.
Nice.
That's like when a comedian will perform in New York City and Jerry Seinfeld stops by to do a guest spot, and then for the rest of his career, that comedian is like, I opened for Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did a 4-set song, and I am an international DJ. So
You're an international superstar.
That's right.
How did you get into this line of work, Dave?
Oh man, so we back in the days, 21 years ago, I was working at a bowling alley. And a guy came up to me. He goes, "Hey, you want to make $100?" And I was 18. I was like, "Yes, I do." Had no idea what it attained. But he says, "You ever know?"
Meet me by the dumpster.
Yeah, I could have been burying a body, and my career would have been a lot different, I guess, in organized crime. But no, luckily he said, "We're gonna DJ," and so he took me over to the sound booth and said that his DJ wasn't showing up, and kind of quickly showed me how to load some CDs. And he says, "Don't worry about it. If you're good, you're bad. I don't care." Hand me $100 and said he'd be back in a few hours. And so that's where it all started.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
So how did it go?
So I think it went pretty well. Luckily, I was employed at the bowling alley at the time, and so I was kind of bailing out the owner for that day. It was like a moonlight special thing, like we're the Glow Bowl and 9-pin, so they wanted some music to keep it fun, and apparently I did good enough because they asked if I wanted to come back the following weekend to do it again. It was a lot of fun, and then I just learned to grow and kind of love the art. And I've always said, like, well, some people hate the DJ, but most people love the DJ, right? So, you're kind of the life of the party, and I kind of picked it up, and so that kind of launched my career into being a professional DJ. And then through various I went through that employer and then one other, and then started my company. So my last company, prior to starting my company, was a great mentor for me. They really taught me everything that I knew, and they're the ones who really kind of helped me become maybe like a bar or amateur DJ to being what I consider a professional DJ. So shout outs to E&J Entertainment all the way back in Frankenmuth, Michigan. I don't know if you listen to podcasts in Maine, but if you do, thank you. Jason, Ed, you guys are great.
You're from Detroit, correct?
Yeah, so I say I'm from Detroit, but the truth being is I'm from a small little town 40 miles north of Detroit where there's more cows than people. But no one's ever heard of Elmont, Michigan. So Detroit works, right?
How do you, I know exactly where Elmont is.
Yeah, of course you do.
I don't actually.
And ironically, though, I did move from Detroit before I came to Maine. I lived in a suburb of Detroit called St. Clair Shores, which is 9 Mile and Jefferson. So, yes, 1 mile north of 8 Mile, the infamous movie that everyone knows about with Eminem. So,
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Mark definitely has not seen it.
Sugar.
Great movie. Great movie. But yeah, that's where I got my start. Did a lot of DJing in bars, like I think most DJs kind of get their start, and then slowly grew into doing more professional events, then weddings. I even did some performance DJing. So what I often talk about is that there's two very distinct kind of splits in the DJ world. There's like a performance DJ, right, where people will pay to come see you. You know, maybe you create your own music, but you're there to perform for people, very much like a concert. And then you have what I consider an entertainment DJ, which is more or less like you're the guy in the background that isn't really meant to be seen, but to entertain all the people that you're there to entertain. This would be more aligned, maybe like a wedding DJ, a bar DJ, etc. So I've done both. My performance career was pretty short, 3 years at best. But, you know, I thought I was going to be the next big DJ. That definitely did not happen, but but still had a lot of fun doing it. Got to perform in front of like 4,000 to 5,000 people, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough life. So I bowed out because I realized I could do the other type of DJing, and it was a lot more fun, less stressful, and more money.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of money in being an entertainer until like you're famous, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a very fun profession. Absolutely love it. If you go to the Uncle Andy's Digest, there's a job posting if you want to get into the industry.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Got the job board.
Check that out.
Let's talk a little bit about how and why you moved to Maine and how your business grew in this wonderful state.
Yeah, so I don't know, funny story is the best way to describe it, but I met my wife in school, in graduate school, and so she was from Maine, so I had no choice. I moved to Maine, and as I've talked to a lot of other implants, and that's kind of, we all share the same story. As the significant others drags us back to the state, and so when I got out here, I was flying back to Michigan for probably about 2 or maybe 3 years to fulfill some of my contracts and whatnot. Right on the edge of that being completed, I had already known that I had one kid. We were expecting our second one, and I, you know, to all my 7 fans out there, I kind of said my goodbye and gave my unofficial retirement of, you know, my DJ life. Because at the peak of it, you know, I was probably working anywhere between 30 to 40 gigs, most of them on the weekends, Fridays, Saturdays. And, you know, as any entertainer knows out there, like it's a different lifestyle, right? You're up late, you know, you kind of run the inverse of everyone else's schedule because, as I've said many times, you're working when everyone is playing, right? And so as the entertainer, you have to be there, up, alive, having fun, right, when everyone else is, well, you're working and everyone else is having fun. So anyways, one small child, one on the way, I kind of decided, hey, I wanted to get out of that lifestyle, wanted to be around for my kids and my family. So gave my unofficial retirement, like I said, to my 7 fans. And then a few months later, maybe 6 months to a year, my cousin was getting married and said, hey, you know, could you help us find a DJ? And I said, oh, yeah, of course. You know, let me, you know, send me some names. I'll do a little unofficial scouting for you. I'll even call them, you know, and we'll ask them some questions. And there were a lot of bad DJs in Maine, like real bad DJs. And I was like, no, they suck. They suck. Like, they don't know what they're talking about. Pretty sure he lives in his parents' basement still. Like, you know, and so I started to get concerned. And then I also went to a few weddings, and there is no harsher judge of another DJ than a DJ at someone else's wedding. And I know people do it to me too, but you know, you could be the best person ever, but you do one slightly thing wrong, you're just like, yeah, they're horrible, scum of the earth. So went to a few of those. Fair enough. And this isn't to be mean, but the DJ at my best or good friend's wedding messed up their first song.
Oh no!
Like, come on,
not
like,
good
you know,
at
like,
all.
right? And then even when they gave the, like, hey, cut it or that's not right motion, right, to the DJ, he just did one of the shrugged his shoulders, put his hands up in the air, was like, I don't know.
Oh,
What?
I know, right?
oh my
like,
gosh.
You're supposed to do something.
Oh, I cringed so bad. I was so close to just being like, run up
Get
there
out
and
of
just
the
be
way.
like, yeah, I can't do worse than you, right? Like, so then that inspired me to, through the years, at this time, I'd probably been doing it for about 13 years or something like that. I said to my cousin, I said, look, over the course of 13 years, I have enough equipment that I could probably figure this thing out, or, I could go out and buy some more equipment and, I could be your DJ. And they said, oh my gosh, that'd be absolutely awesome. So that was kind of our wedding gift to them, as I went out and I purchased the rest of what I needed to do their wedding. And I did their wedding, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. And then I said to myself, well, I have all this equipment. I was the lead DJ for my last company. I was the trainer. And like I said, the previous owners of the company were great people. So I called up my old boss. I said, hey, look, we have no competitive situation here. What are the chances you want to help me start my own company? And he said, yeah, we'll send you everything we have. So they sent me over all their paperwork, all their contracts, everything that I basically had used professionally for the last 10 years. And so I basically just rebranded it and called it Pallo Entertainment. And that's kind of how we got our start. So, and we've been going strong ever since.
DJ services, it's not the only thing you provide, right?
Yeah. So Pallo Entertainment, it's kind of the overarching company, and we definitely are focused mostly on DJing. But yes, we have a DBA called Pallo Videography. So we have a professional videographer on staff, which worked great for marketing purposes for the company, but also, we provide external services with a professional videographer. We also used to have another company called Wedding Designs, which was a wedding planning portion of our company, or event planning, I should say. But that's been retired post-COVID, and we haven't resurrected it since. So my former wedding planner decided that it was no longer in her future, and which was fine. We kind of just are holding it there in case we ever find somebody else. We have the business plan, the marketing, it's all done.
Right.
But I used to be a former wedding planner, and it's not something that I want to pick back up.
You don't want to get back into that?
No.
Somebody else do that part of it.
Yeah. So, but if I ever find somebody, hey, we have it ready for them. So
I feel like it takes a special kind of person.
For sure.
Yeah. Somebody who just wants to see everything else be revolving around another person that's a special kind of person.
Yeah, it's you got to be able to take a lot of different things coming in from a lot of different ways and be able to manage it very quickly, because you're trying to basically create someone else's vision. Yeah. And obviously there's usually very few people who probably have the control of that vision, right? They tend to be the people who write the paycheck. But everyone else seems to also think that they're important and want to tell you their opinions. And so kind of balancing that, and I think the very iconic, simple one a lot of times for the weddings that I used to be a wedding planner for, it's like, bride versus mom, right?
Yeah.
And, the bride's trying to bring her vision together, but the mother, or the father often remind you oftenly that they're the ones paying you or writing the check. And so, it's just an interesting dynamic, to kind of have to balance.
Navigate that very carefully.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm happily out of it. But hey, if you're out there listening and you think you want to do it, it's a great profession. You should totally get into it and come talk to me.
It is a special person, for sure.
You could never do it, Sarah.
I'm too much of a perfectionist. I think that I would have a hard time when things went sideways. And if something wasn't perfect for that person who I wanted it to be perfect for, I'd be very critical of myself. Be like, don't pay me. It's fine. I know the balloons are the wrong color.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I don't understand people who want a perfect wedding because there's nothing memorable about a perfect wedding,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The biggest memory that Sherry and I have from our wedding is that I put the ring on the wrong finger.
Oh, no. Wait,
yeah.
Wait, the middle or the pinky? Like, which way did you
I
go?
don't know. I saw 5, and I'm just going to pick one and go for it.
Oh, that's
And then everybody knew what happened because Sherry, they saw her move her hand, and
Yeah.
everybody knew. So I just looked at the attendees, and I'm like, hey, it's my first time.
Yeah. There-
That's adorable.
That's awesome.
Right?
You're
If
so
it was
cute.
perfect, nobody would know.
Oh, that's so
I'm glad you were able to come up with that in the moment, though. It's my first time. You're
Yeah.
a natural-born comic right
How was
here.
I
But I
supposed
mean,
to know?
That was great.
So outside of weddings, Dave, what are you doing around the Lewiston, Auburn area and beyond that folks might be familiar with?
Well, I do a few different things, I guess. So my 9 to 5 job, right? So this is a weekend warrior thing for me. I work at Camden National Bank, and so people often see me probably if they come to the Lewiston branch because I'm the branch manager. So
Oh,
I tend to be there from 9 to 5 most days, unless I'm out recording podcasts. So you know. So you
Well, you're
might.
certainly not listening to them.
do corporate events and community events and other things like that.
Yeah. So I'm also on a few different boards in the community. So, but like to do probably the biggest one would be the movie nights. I actually we DJ the movie nights.
Nice.
So
That's fun.
I do most of them personally. I think I had my DJs do 1 or 2 of them last year, but so people probably see me out there for that. Like I said, I've done a couple Nords games, so we've done some pre-games for them. So yeah, I mean various different ones in the community. A lot in Lewiston. I haven't really got out to Auburn yet, so I got to figure out a way to get out here. So
Oh, hello, Auburn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what you did this past weekend?
Yeah, so actually probably the thing that I'm most proud about my company actually has to do with what I did this weekend. And so I DJ'd prom. So I'm a 38-year-old man who's been to prom for the last 20 years. Very, very proud of that, right? It's like my 35th prom. And so, I think the only people who can say that and not be a weirdo are basically a teacher and a DJ. So I'm one of them. But yeah, so we did prom. That one was in Rumford. That was a lot of fun. This year we did St. Tom's prom, we did Edward Little's prom, and we did Rumford's prom. And then in years past, we've also done Poland as well. And so, but something that's near and dear to my heart is our nonprofit in-school discount plan. One thing that Pallo Entertainment really strives for is to be a local community member and giving back to our community. And so the biggest way we do this is through our nonprofit in school discount plan. And so essentially how we do this is it's a tiered system. And for every gig that is booked with us, we essentially discount about every 5% starting at 10%. So your first gig's 10% off. So, if it's $1,000, you get $100 off. If $500, right, you get $50 off. And then the next gig will be 15% off, then 20% off, and then it caps at 25%. And so the program was really actually designed based off of a school schedule. For most nonprofits, it would be a calendar year, but specifically to schools, because obviously they go over 2 calendar years. And the thought really was kind of, the homecoming, snowcoming, maybe an extra event in there, maybe graduation, and then prom, and try to layer the percentage off their contracts. But then after that, right, so let's say in discounts, let's say they've accumulated, I don't know, $350 in savings, I actually match that and I donate it right back to the school or the nonprofit, depending on, who they are. So essentially, in this case, let's say if it's $350, it's about $700 in savings for them. And really, we're trying to do this, one, to make it affordable. We also, we really want to kind of give back to those future leaders and also make sure that they're having fun. So, year to date, Pallo Entertainment's been able to donate a little over $3,000 back into our local communities and schools. And so we're definitely really proud of that. And, it's a great way to kind of give back.
Yeah, it's a great idea. I've never really. Where did that idea blossom from?
I can honestly say I just kind of came up with it on my own. I wanted, find a way to be able to give back, but at the same time, find a way where you can still kind of break even, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the tiered system came in,
Yep.
So, we're definitely, we're proud of that. And also just partnering with other companies in the area. We've been a corporate sponsor for the last couple of years for the Great Falls Comedy
Maine's Wicked Funny Laugh Off.
Laugh Off, yes. Yeah, so we partner with them too, and just trying to support other local businesses in the area, mainly ones that are tied to some type of entertainment, right? We partner with the Lewiston Public Theater as well. We did a connection for a cause with them, so that was great. Just trying to support, our fellow entertainers in the theater world. I've done some stuff with the community little theater too, just being their MC for their different shows. So a lot of different fun ways to kind of be in the spotlight.
Yeah, cool.
Very cool.
It's got to be great being a DJ today, knowing that when someone comes up to you and requests a song, if you have a laptop, you have it.
Yes.
Right? Because back in the day, these people that come up and say, do you have this song by this artist? And you're like, no.
Oh.
And you just ruin their wedding.
Yes.
Yes. It's like, we didn't talk about this at the meeting.
Right? Yeah.
This wasn't included in the list.
I do remember back in the day when you would sit down with someone and you would just stress like, all right, if you have specific songs, let me know, because if I don't have them, I'll go get them. But like, that's not a thing anymore. It's just like, it's called the internet. Like, I can get anything instantly.
It's like, I got Spotify. No worries.
That's interesting. I just RSVP'd to a wedding party that's happening in September. And one of the questions on the RSVP, because it's all digital, scan a QR code. Yes, we're coming. How many people? Blah, blah, blah. But one of the questions was, do you have any special song requests? And each guest got to pick
That's cool.
a song that they wanted to hear.
I recommend that a lot of times with my bride
really
and my
cool.
grooms.
Oh, yeah?
Dave, tell us about your hell gig.
One is, they're not really like hell gigs per se, but they're just fun stories. So the first one was, I was pretty young. I think I was maybe 21 at the time, just kind of getting into it. And I remember walking into the bathroom, and it was a big, like, police officer event, or not event, like wedding. Like there were a lot of, I think the groom obviously was a police officer. There's a lot of police officers there, and they were doing lines of coke in the bathroom on the on the bathroom counter, and so I didn't know what to do with that, because
This was in Detroit.
yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's a clarifying question. Yeah.
I was like, because well, it was the police, so I wasn't going to call the police, and they were a very rowdy bunch, to say the least. So that was kind of eye-opening for me, and but probably my favorite gig was the pirate wedding. Yes, and like, so I think it's called Embassy Suites, where so you got to have the visuals, and I know we're in an audio medium, but you're thinking of that hotel where there's like a big lobby in the middle, and then up the sides are where all the rooms are, and then the rooms kind of look inward into the lobby down below, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's probably 4 or 5 stories tall, and it's not a chained hotel. It used to be, in like, some family bought it, and they turned it basically into their own business and event center. So anyways, where the wedding was like right in the middle, or the wedding reception. And I had met the bride and groom prior, and they had talked about, wanting to do this, Renaissance pirate type of wedding, and, it's great, whatever, and, it's going to be fun. And so I walk into the venue. First thing I see is just this massive wooden pirate ship, like the play place one. You know what I'm talking about, like the swings and stuff and the slides. Right in the middle of how they got this thing in there, I have no idea. They had to build it in there, I swear. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. So go find the event manager. I was like, hey, I'm the DJ. Where do you want to get it set up? They kind of had me set up in front of the pirate ship. And there's just more things start coming in, like fake palm trees and like treasure chests. I mean, they
Yay.
just, they went all out. And
Man, I got new life goals.
Yeah, it was. And so then, and they had prior for our pre-wedding meeting, they had given me 2 CDs, because we were on CDs at the time, Mark, right? Of pirate shanties and songs that they wanted played. And so then the guests started showing up, and all of them were in on it. They went all out. You had peg-legged, costumes. You had one guy try to bring a bird, like a massive parrot with the eye patch and everything. They didn't let the bird in. They said, drew the line at the bird. And man, that was one heck of a wedding. That was a lot of fun. And I just remember, playing music, taking requests, playing, we'd play the sea shanties and they'd all, oh, yeah, and then it became a source of entertainment because, of course, all the guests that are like staying they're all like looking over the railings.
Yeah,
you look up and you just see all these people staring down at you, and and they're all getting into it too. And it was quite a memorable event, and I've yet to do one such as that. So the pirate wedding was probably the most fun. One last quick story. So a staple of my company is that we have 2 DJs, and this was an idea that I took from my previous employer. Part of that reason is that second DJ or myself, kind of the MC, works as that event coordinator as well. And so 3 years ago, we were doing a wedding, and we go to set up for dinner, or the caterer's getting ready to do dinner. They come up to myself and they go, "Hey, where's the silverware?" And I was go, "Well, I don't know. Let's ask the event coordinator, the hall manager. Hey, you guys putting out silverware, or the cook's looking for some and caterer's looking for some?" "Well, no, we don't have any. That's provided by the caterer."
No.
And so, needless to say, no one had silverware. And so I ended up driving to Auburn Walmart, Dollar Tree, wherever I could to find them.
Got them all out of
150 of their finest plastic, silverware. So I mean, I've bustled dresses, I've written best man speeches, I've picked up silverware. DJ kind of does everything sometimes. So
That's funny.
I never would have guessed that. Like, who's going to the DJ asking where the silverware is? Why would you possibly know?
Yeah, we get a lot of unique requests, so that's for sure. Not just music.
The song you hate to play the most?
I don't really. Yeah, I'm kind of a fan of all music. My favorite music, like what I listen to in my car, that's not sports radio, or the Lunch Bunch podcast, Mark.
That ship has sailed, Dave. We know you. We know you're full of it.
Come on,
Recovering.
You're not going to win.
Pirate ship has sailed.
You're not going to win us over 45 minutes into the podcast.
Challenge accepted. Yeah, is EDM music. So that's what I love the most. But man, you really kind of put me on a spot. I'm trying to think what song.
Wait. What's what's EDM music?
Electronic dance music.
Gotcha.
So all the DJs, former mentioned type of stuff. The stuff that my wife hates because she's like, it's just the same beat over and over.
And you're like, yeah,
it's great. Love it.
It's kind of like being married.
So here's an unpopular opinion for you, Pam, is I don't like ABBA. There.
Oh,
see?
no. Yeah.
See?
Highly offended over there at the other end of the table.
Wait, you didn't offend me.
At my wedding, we refused to have the DJ play Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger.
Number one biggest wedding song.
That's why we refused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't want to be like those other weddings.
Yep.
So we played.
Still play that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the number one most played wedding song, I would argue. So.
Yep.
What about You Look Beautiful Tonight by Eric Clapton?
Oh, yeah, that's on there. So, as Mark knows, if you had to make a CD,
You are wonderful.
you could probably do...
It's just wonderful tonight.
Wonderful
That's what
Tonight,
it is.
yeah.
Wonderful Tonight. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Nope, that's definitely on there.
Chicken dance.
Yeah, so funny story about Chicken Dance. So, not oftenly played at a wedding, but when we talk to some of our brides and grooms, we talk about, family traditions or ethnic-based songs.
Right.
Me being Italian, like I had to do the Italian wedding line dance song, and there's other ones. But anyway, so I had this bride and groom tell me, they're like, okay, well, you got to play the Chicken Dance, and you got to, invite Grandma Yum Yum out to lead it. And I'm like, oh, okay, obviously.
Yum Yum.
Tell me the story, right? So that, they tell me it's a big family tradition and they do it at all their events. And so anyways, So sure enough, I mean, it was a pretty big wedding. This was a while ago, but probably 250. And so I say, okay, everyone get out there, chicken wings, Grandma Yum Yum, get up here. And, this old lady comes shuffling up, and the whole entire venue just clears out and goes out on the dance floor, and they do the chicken dance, and she leads it. And, so yeah, it was obviously, definitely, strange probably to most, but to them, it's a huge family tradition.
Yeah.
So, but I think that was maybe the second and probably the last time I'll ever play the chicken dance at a wedding. So unless, I do another...
You're going to have another Graham Yum Yum.
Yeah, unless I do another Yum Yum wedding, And there we go.
What about the electric slide? Is that still a thing?
So I have to ask, is it the electric slide or the hustle? Because I think there's some regional distinctions where I think in the Midwest, we consider the electric slide the hustle, but out here, the electric slide is actually the electric slide. Mm-hmm. So in 10 years of DJing out here, I yet to figure out what people are actually meaning. So who sings the electric slide?
I think it's a woman. Her last name is Griffiths.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's the actual electric slide, which would make sense, right? But yeah. But so Stevie Wonder's "My Eyes Don't Cry," right?
No.
You don't know that song?
No. I didn't say I was a good DJ.
Yeah, it's oh man, I won't sing it because I barely can talk, let alone sing. So, but a lot of people don't know that song is "The Hustle," but we consider it the electric slide in the Midwest. So
I thought there was a song called "The Hustle."
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, it's not that song.
That's The Hustle.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not the song I'm thinking of though.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, because it's it says "Do the Hustle."
The Hustle.
Yeah.
No.
The Macarena, is that still big?
Yeah, it's making a comeback. And,
Man!
Yeah.
Love the Macarena.
Me and Pam were talking about kind of the kids these days. They're into the old...
Wait, were you in Pam's office yelling at clouds first?
Yeah. Get
off our lawn!
Oh, you took it from me. I was going to say that. Yeah, they're on my lawn. But no, the kids these days, they're into the old school stuff, So yeah, the Macarena is actually kind of making a comeback. So yeah, it is interesting to see that and have song requests, specifically to those proms and school dances and stuff that are songs before I know these kids were even born.
Right.
Yeah. Which is great for me because it's all the stuff I listened to growing up. So it's a lot of fun.
All right.
Dave, anything else about Pallo Entertainment that you would like our listeners to know?
We're a small local, business, and we really pride ourselves on truly being those professional DJs to make your events, come true and be lively and fun. We happily, employ a bunch of other local DJs as well. So although a lot of the events around here I do myself personally, but I have two other DJs, one in Lisbon, one in Portland. So we're just a small company with a lot of professional experience and a lot of fun. So just trying to make a difference in our community and make sure that we have viable, fun, and live entertainment for anyone who wants to listen. So
where can folks go to learn more?
So you can check us out on our website at palloentertainment.com. We have a Facebook. I don't think I have an Instagram anymore. We were hacked. And maybe we have a Twitter out there, too. Once again, I have someone who manages my social media stuff for me.
Yeah. You don't say.
Yeah.
It's called X now.
Yeah, there you go. Bingo. So, but I know that we have content out there because every time I do something, I send it to her and she posts it. So if you don't like my post, it wasn't me. So
maybe you should just direct folks to the website.
Yeah.
And if they want to learn more, they can find it themselves.
Where would you get this awesome banter, right?
That's right.
Locally owned and locally focused, Lydia Media celebrates the heart of the greater Lewiston-Auburn area through two magazines, Uncle Andy's Digest and LA Metro Magazine, and the new Lydia's Lunch Bunch podcast. Each production shines a positive light on local businesses, nonprofits, events, and individuals making a difference in our community. Keep your advertising dollars local and position your business in front of your target audience with Lydia Media. Learn more at lydiamediallc.com.
All right, Dave, we like to close the show with a segment called 3 Random Questions, where we ask you questions that have nothing to do with your profession.
And since you haven't listened to the end of our podcast, you had no idea.
I didn't know it was coming. What a surprise.
Yeah, we're all astounded that you didn't figure that out. We'll each ask you a question, and I'll start. If there was a movie made about your life, What's the one scene that people would be talking about on the way home?
I don't know, man. Jeez. Wow. My life is pretty uneventful. Maybe it might be the scene where my wife says yes when I engaged or we got engaged. Just because they're like, man, that was not a smart move. Like, I can't believe she did that.
That's what they'd be talking about.
Yeah.
Why did she say
Yeah,
that?
I know. I married up, so like I definitely married up. I guess that's the most eventful, most prideful thing in my life, So I did well.
I like it. Mm-hmm. This one might be a hard one for you, actually.
Okay.
And I think Mark has asked it before.
Is it trivia about the podcast?
If you had to choose a walk-up song for your
Ooh,
entry,
man, yeah.
what song would you choose?
Man, they are hard. I kind of go in spurts between, like my favorite song, and I probably would just go with, what's my favorite song in the moment. But so like right now, I'm really liking. It's called "Easy Lover." No surprise, it's an EDM song. So, but I guess I would go with that for right now.
Right.
So
That's
yeah, but it would probably change in like
that's all right.
3 months when I find a different song that I love.
Yeah, I feel like that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kind of hearing that new beat, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. I love this one. So,
Yeah.
but like as we said, my wife says they all sound the same. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
All right, you ready for my question?
Yep.
What musician do you think would be the most interesting person to meet?
Man, I thought it was supposed to be unrelated to my field here. These are all music questions.
Mine wasn't, Dave.
Yeah, you were on script.
I understood the
Do you
assignment.
want a different question?
No, I mean, I
Because it's going to have to do with chickens and horses.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
So I would probably go with Keith Urban.
Oh.
Just because I have a lot of respect for him as a musical artist. Not typically something we probably play a lot unless, he's got some good bar songs or, barbecue songs if we're kind of like doing a family, family barbecue type of DJ event. But I actually got to see him in concert 3 times. And one of the times, John Mayer
Oh, wow.
was there as a surprise guest, and they did like a little dueling guitar thing.
That's
which
I was just going to say, he's a great guitarist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was awesome to see that. So yeah, if I ever got a chance, it would probably be Keith. So it's just really cool.
Dave, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Thanks so much for joining us today, and thanks so much for being a loyal listener.
No, nothing. Nothing. You're getting. Don't want to follow that up with anything, Mark?
Nope, I was just thanking you for being a loyal listener.
Appreciate that. It's very kind. While the other two here chuckle behind the scenes.
Thanks to our sponsors, Ruper's Beverage and Redemption and United Piping. And if you'd like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com.
Have a great day. And remember, don't bite your cat.
And I will say I have bitten my cat.